What is going on, guys? Reed Orlando here with another episode of Reed SPN Sports Podcast. UFC talk as always. We're just going to be going over some MMA news, and I'm just going to do a quick breakdown of Rafael Dos Anjos versus Leon Edwards. For some reason, my UFC Fight Pass account, I'm not able to access their old fights, which is definitely pissing me off. I haven't been able to find them through ESPN Plus. UFC needs to get their shit together, all in all. But still, it's not going to stop me from doing a quick little breakdown. Now, just in terms of MMA news, some little things that are happening. Well, one fight that was announced, which is the biggest news, I'll lead off with that. We have Cowboy versus Justin Gaethje. Yes, you heard that right. Cowboy Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje. That has potential to be arguably one of the greatest fights of all time. But anytime Justin Gaethje or Cowboy step into the ring, it's always a memorable fight, no matter what. I can't remember the last time Cowboy was not in an interesting fight, or I can't remember the last time Justin Gaethje was in a non-interesting fight. Interesting fact, when I was in Vegas 2 years ago for my 21st birthday, Justin Gaethje made his UFC debut against Michael Johnson. And I just happened to be sitting next to his cousin, and I actually bet $100 on Michael Johnson to win because I was like, Justin Gaethje isn't ready for UFC competition. First fight in the UFC, he might have some octagon jitters. I was 100% wrong. Me and his cousin were going back and forth, chirping each other, talking shit. Good-hearted shit talk, though. Nothing crazy. And Gaethje was able to finish him. Now, Gaethje is coming off that huge win over Edson Barboza. And honestly, it just goes to show that he's still in that top five of that division. He's had some rough losses, but to the top of the division. He lost to former champion Eddie Alvarez, and then he lost to now interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier. So I think it's going to be an unbelievable fight. Right off the bat, let me just start off by saying that I think that Cowboy is going to win. Now, you never know what happens as the weeks get closer. I might change my mind. But overall, I just think that Cowboy's able to fight on the outside a lot better than Justin Gaethje. However, if Cowboy gets too stagnant on that front leg, whether it's his right or his left leg, he can run into some trouble because Gaethje's going to be able to land those lower inside and outside leg kicks. And Justin Gaethje has some of the best leg kicks in MMA, if not the best. In his fight with Edson Barboza, he had no problem throwing those leg kicks at all. He was going tit for tat with Edson and then was able to eventually finish him. Now, Cowboy, I think, has the ability to win this fight, and the reason why I'm picking him to win this fight is simply just because of his reach. I believe he'll have at least a 3 to 4 inch reach advantage. He can sit on the outside, pick his shots. I can see this being a similar fight to when he fought Al Iaquinta. Now, Al Iaquinta, he likes to fight in the pocket. He likes to get on the inside, but it was hard to overcome Cowboy's reach, and I think that Justin Gaethje is going to have a problem with that. Now, it can help him throwing those inside and outside low kicks to be able to open up more opportunities with the hands, but I do think it's a tough fight for Justin Gaethje, and if he's able to pull this off, man, it's hard to not put him in the top 5 of that division. I'm not sure what he's ranked right now. Lightweight's got to shake itself out for a little bit. But he'll be right there in title contention, honestly. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm picking Cowboy for that one. Very, very interesting card. Interesting fight. It's going to be in Vancouver, I believe. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Now we have Myles Jury. He just signed a multi-fight deal with Bellator. Now Myles Jury, he was fighting professionally in the UFC, I believe at 19 or 18 years old, which is pretty crazy. Has fallen under some tough times. If I'm not mistaken, his last loss was to Chad Mendes via knockout. I'll look that up for you right now. But Myles Jury is still legit, and that's a big pickup for Bellator. Absolutely. No, Andre Fili, he lost unanimous decision. Okay. All right, so he lost to Andre Fili, who Andre Fili is no joke at all. He fought on that Ngannou versus Kane card. That was, where was that? I'm not sure exactly. But that is going to be definitely a big pickup for Bellator. Definitely a big improvement for their featherweight division. The featherweight division is not weak by any means. They're having that featherweight Grand Prix, and it should be really interesting. But I would have liked to see Myles Jury thrown into that mix to see how he does against the other Bellator competitors at that weight, because Myles Jury is a perennial top 15 contender in the lightweight division, no matter what organization he's in. So that's that. And now what else do we got going on? There was some more interesting news. Oh, Thiago Santos has had successful surgery on both knees. Thank God. He had an unbelievable fight against Jon Jones. I'm very, very intrigued to see him come back into the cage, and I would like to see him versus Anthony Smith fight. Now, I know Anthony Smith, if I'm not mistaken, what is his next fight? Oh, I guess he doesn't. You know what? I guess he doesn't have anything scheduled, but that's the fight that I think should happen. Thiago Santos did knock him out when they first fought. Well, the only time they fought. last year, the fight right before Anthony Smith moved up to light heavyweight. And these are two guys that have really prospered since moving up a weight class. Like I said in my last week's podcast, sometimes guys don't do as well when they move up a weight class or drop down a weight class. But I think these two found their home at light heavyweight, and I would be very interested to see a rematch between those two because I do believe that those two are in the upper echelon of that division. Of course, you have Jan Blachowicz, Corey Anderson, Gustafsson before he retired, but I heard he's got the itch. So yeah, definitely would like to see that fight. Let the division shake itself out. Let's see who John fights next. I don't know what's next on the table for him. Maybe he'll take a fight with Corey Anderson, who's currently on a 3-fight winning streak, and beat Jan Blachowicz, who's currently ranked number 3 right now, who just knocked out Luke Rockhold. So now let's get down to the breakdown of Leon Edwards versus Rafael Dos Anjos. So Leon Edwards has a 4-inch reach advantage over Dos Anjos, which is pretty significant. Now, is Leon Edwards a threat in the grappling department? Absolutely not. He's no slouch. He's got good takedown defense, and we saw that in his last fight against Gunnar Nelson. However, I do think that Rafael Dos Anjos is going to have a tough time with Leon Edwards. Now, he made a statement that he could beat anyone in lightweight or at welterweight, and I really do believe that. I do believe that he is one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. He could fight in both weight classes. With that being said, right now, Leon Edwards is on a 7-fight win streak. A 7-fight win streak over some pretty impressive opponents. Albert Tumanov was a perennial top 10 contender in the welterweight division. Vicente Luque, Brian Barberina, Peter Sabata, Donald Cerrone. He clearly didn't outclass him, but he outstruck him in that one. He won unanimous, and then he just won that last split decision win over Gunnar Nelson, where he got into the fight with Jorge Masvidal after the fact. So what I think is going to happen is I think that Leon Edwards is going to stay on the outside. Now, since there's no threat of a takedown coming from Edwards, I could see Rafael Dos Anjos being a little bit more aggressive and trying to get inside the pocket and trying to feel him out a little bit more. But Leon Edwards is really good at fighting at his range. He's a very long fighter. And I just think that RDA is really going to have a hard time fighting his range against a guy like Leon Edwards. Now, with that being said, Rafael Dos Anjos has some excellent boxing. He's been working with Jason Perillo over there at whatever boxing gym is over there. And his boxing continually gets better. In his last fight against Kevin Lee, he looked really, really impressive. He clearly outstruck him in that fight. That was a really interesting fight. And I thought that Kevin Lee was actually going to win that just because of his ability to take his opponents down, especially in those first 2 rounds. I thought that he was going to be able to grind him out, but he did not. Rafael Dos Anjos fought back. And the thing that stands out to me about Rafael Dos Anjos, opposed to any other fighter in the world, is his cardio. He doesn't stop going, RDA. Now, when he fought Anthony Pettis for the lightweight belt, I believe this is 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. It's a long time. But he just completely outpaced him. He totally just put a pace on him that Anthony Pettis couldn't keep up with. Now, Leon Edwards' cardio has been tested before. Like I said, he had that 5-round fight against Cowboy. But in the later rounds, I do give the edge to Rafael Dos Anjos. However, in the striking, I definitely give it to Leon Edwards. Just in terms of what he's able to do fighting at his range. Not saying Rafael Dos Anjos is a slouch with the striking at all. But I just think that Leon Edwards is a better striker overall. He fights a little bit longer. And like I said, harder for RDA to find his range. Now, RDA can go on a flurry and can hit him with some very significant shots if he gets him up against the cage, which we saw when he fought Robbie Lawler. He got him backed up against the cage, and he started unloading on him. So, cardio advantage, you certainly have to give the edge to Rafael Dos Anjos. However, Leon Edwards does have good cardio, and he's been battle-tested before against some top contenders, like Cowboy. So, I really think that this is going to be a 5-round unanimous decision for Leon Edwards. However, if Rafael Dos Anjos does decide to use his grappling, because he is a black belt, people forget how good of a grappler he is. He won the world championships, I believe, when he was a purple belt or a blue belt. Regardless, he's still a world champion in jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is solid, and if he is able to take him down, I expect him to try to pass and look to submit him. Rafael Dos Anjos does have a couple of submissions on his resume. Now, he's fallen in love with his boxing a lot as of recently, which I think can get him into trouble against Leon, because I think Leon is a better striker overall. I don't know about, I said he was a better boxer before, I might have said, but Rafael Dos Anjos has some really fast hands, and once he gets going and once he's able to land a couple of shots and he's able to find that timing in that range, he's a problem. But like I said, it's going to be a hard time for him to find his range against a guy like Leon Edwards who fights so long. So let me look right now. Yeah, so we had that last one. What did he submit? Yeah, did he submit him? I forgot Kevin Lee did submit him, and then before that he lost to Usman, who's now the champion, and then Colby Covington, who is the interim champion at the moment. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really good fight overall. I'm looking forward to it. Also on this card, I forgot to mention, we have James Vick versus Dan Hooker. That's going to be a barn burner. I'm taking James Vick in this one. Longer, more precise striking. However, Dan Hooker can make it interesting with some leg kicks. But I'd be curious to see how Dan Hooker comes back after that last loss to Edson Barbosa. He hasn't fought since, and he really got beat up in that fight. You can't ever knock Dan Hooker's will and his heart overall. Also, we have Alexander Hernandez versus Francisco Trinaldo. I'm picking Alexander Hernandez in this fight. Alex Hernandez has got really good wrestling. Francisco Trinaldo is a world-class kickboxer. However, I think that Alexander Hernandez mixes in everything so well, and he definitely think he gained experience from fighting Cowboy in his last fight. I see him getting a big win here against Francisco Trinaldo, who's an absolute stud at lightweight. And then what else do we have? We have Greg Hardy versus Juwan Adams. Now, Greg Hardy in that first 2 minutes, he definitely has the striking advantage. Don't get me wrong. I do think that Juwan Adams has more experience overall. And I think if Juwan Adams does want to take him down, he can definitely inflict some damage. I know that Juwan Adams was talking a lot of shit beforehand about Greg Hardy. Rightfully so. He is a woman beater. But people are going to tune into this fight because of Greg Hardy. He is a draw not only in MMA, but he's a draw in football. He was the main topic of conversation that year that he joined the Cowboys after his domestic abuse case. So, Greg Hardy, I want to pick Juwan Adams, but I'm going to have to pick Greg Hardy here. I'm going to say knockout round 1. I can't give you a specific time, but I think he's going to knock him out because I do think that Juwan Adams in his Tuesday Night Contender Series fight and his debut in the UFC technically, he did leave himself open for opportunity, and the grown man that he was fighting was able to land some pretty significant shots on him, and if Greg Hardy's able to land one of those big shots on you, you're in a world of shit. Now, also, we have Alexei Oleinik versus Walt Harris. Now, this is a very interesting fight because power advantage, definitely Walt Harris. Walt Harris can fucking bang with the best of them. His hands are unbelievable. He's got a lot of speed behind it and a lot of power. Alexei Oleinik, however, that guy can take a shot like no other. His last fight, who did he fight? Let me see. His last fight, he was getting beat up. Versus Overeem, he did get TKO'd. But he's able to take a shot, Alexei Oleinik. And the thing is this, if he's able to take him down, Alexei Oleinik, he very easily could submit him. He is one of the most underrated submission artists in MMA today and is definitely one of the best in the heavyweight division. He's an old guy, though, Alexei Oleinik. I don't know how he's still fighting. I think he's 43 or 44 years old. I hate going against Alexei Oleinik, but I'm gonna pick Walt Harris in this one. I think he has the power. I think he's been developing more as the last couple of fights have gone on. Alexei Oleinik's currently ranked number 9 right now, and Oleinik has a 3-inch reach advantage. You know what? I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say Alexei Oleinik's going to win this one. I don't know, just a gut feeling. He's taken some shots before. He was able to submit Mark Hunt not too long ago with that head and arm choke. I think he'll be able to get Walt Harris down. We saw Walt Harris have some trouble against Fabricio Verdum, which is what I just remembered, and Fabricio submitted him within a round. Now, striking advantage, Walt Harris. Grappling and everywhere else, experience and everything along those lines, Alexei Oleinik all day, every day. So I'm going to pick him to win. He's even got a 3-inch reach advantage. So that's it for my show. Just wanted to give you guys a quick, briefer of what's to come this weekend. Didn't really do a lot of research for this, but this is just going off the top of my head who I think is going to win. So my picks are Hernandez, Vick, Hardy, Oleinik, and Leon Edwards. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. I will be gone for the week, so no podcast. I'm going over to Point Pleasant. So thank you for tuning in, and have a nice weekend, guys.